On today's episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand, I sit down with Jordan Salvit, an absolutely incredible e-commerce strategist. He dug into the numbers of one of the brands that I own, and oh man, you guys are going to want to listen to this one. It was a couple of tough pills to swallow, but some incredible insights and some incredible action steps moving forward that we know will continue to grow this brand, even in difficult times like it's been in the past year or so. Guys, if you are in any sort of direct consumer business right now, you are not going to want to miss this one. Hey guys, Jordan West back with another episode of Secrets to Scaling Your E-commerce Brand. I have back on the podcast today, Jordan Salvit from Salvit Advisors. Jordan, welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I had so much fun last time. I'm excited to dive in again today.
Oh, absolutely. So today, guys, I'm getting actually put in the hot seat. This is going to be an incredibly uncomfortable episode here where you're going to see me squirm around a little bit and be like, oh, yikes. Okay. Jordan is going to be running me through. Well, actually, Jordan, why don't you take the lead here and let me know exactly what we're going to be talking about? Because I'm really looking forward to diving into this. And what I'm hoping for our audience is that they're going to see the sort of insights that we're actually able to get and some of the potential action items that we're going to be able to glean from those insights. And then hopefully actually see if they can get something like this from you, or potentially even just look at the methodology of what you've done and then go and do it themselves. So that's my hope for you guys today. I think this is going to be a great episode.
Awesome. I think so too. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. So to give you the rundown of what I've done, after our last conversation, we gave an offer to all listeners to say, hey, come on and sign up for a leverage playbook. But we got off the line. I said I was going to do it for you, for one of your brands, for Little&Lively.
Yeah.
And so what we did was we connected to your Shopify account, we connected to your Facebook and Google accounts, and started to dig in and do our analysis.
Yeah.
And so that's the background of today's conversation. And so what I would like to do is give you a high level of what we've done, what I looked at, just the overall quality and health of your business,
Yeah.
and an analysis on that side, and then maybe point out a handful of things. And I'm going to call out really probably two things will be my main call outs for you today
Awesome.
of two things that you can be focused and working on. Right.
Awesome.
And those I think will be really just help you continue to scale, as is the name of the business of your podcast. Right.
Awesome. This is great. And I want to let you guys know it's taking a lot of courage for me to do this live right now, guys. This is not easy. And I think it's not easy for a lot of us to take a look at our own businesses. I will let you know I'm an incredible consultant. When I talk to people and when I consult with people, I'm incredible. And sometimes we kind of forget with our own businesses. And so
Yep.
so this is
Yep.
so this is super vulnerable for me, guys. And I hope that what you get from this is that feeling of vulnerability that like, oh yeah, I can actually go to an expert. And no matter how far I've come or feel like I've come in certain areas, there's always somebody, especially a third party, who can point out things that maybe you can't see in the blind side. So just throwing that caveat in there. So Jordan, take it away.
Perfect. So let me start by saying you've built a great business, right? It's great to see across the board you started the business. Actually, maybe you can give a little bit more to everybody, but you started the business over 5 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. Right. And
Yeah,
uh,
eight years ago actually is when we really started. My wife was like a designer for years and started this thing called Carmen West Creative Littles, and it was like, oh, that's a mouthful. Like let's see what we can do. And so we just kind of came up with Little and Lively. Realized that we could buy the trademark, and we're like, okay, let's do this. Started selling at markets and that sort of thing. And then Shopify came around and then Facebook ads came around and we
yep.
just kind of grew and grew. The pandemic came around and then that's kind of where we've been at, like it's grown to a nice level. We would definitely like to get it to that next level is where we would like to be. So
Okay. So I
yeah,
think, well, number one, fantastic. I think it was amazing to see how you were able to grow through COVID, right? You had your best year in 2020, and seeing how you took that across the board was fantastic, right? And so I think that proves, number one, where you can go, right? Where
Yeah.
that trajectory of the business can go, because yes, things have been tougher a little bit. And we see that in some of the marketing efforts that you've had, but across the board, you've done an amazing job showing and maintaining the health of the business. So just wanted to call that out. I think one of the things that I want to call out for you and is actually the percentage of your revenue that is coming from existing customers versus new customers.
Something
So
that keeps me up at night all the time, Jordan. Thank you for pointing that out.
um, well, it's something that is critical when you're thinking about a growing business, right? And over the course of the last 2 years, just to give you the number, over the course of the last 2 years, your business has actually only had 22.5% coming from new
New
customers,
customers. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
You heard it
this
here,
business,
folks.
the majority of your business is coming from existing customers. And now, number one, that's amazing, right? Why is that amazing? Because you have a loyal customer base that are buying and they're coming back and repurchasing from you. That means that if you've structured it right, you're profitable on the first purchase and you're able to do and grow from there. But
Yeah.
as a whole, it means that you're not growing enough, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would advocate for you to be thinking about how do you spend more of your revenue more into marketing
Yeah.
and to really juice this up. And the real question is going to be, where do you spend that dollar on advertising and how, right?
Yeah.
And so number one, I think good, right? And most companies that I interact with have the opposite problem. They have 80%. They're a new brand. They have 80%, 90% people are new customers. And
Yeah.
that's the opposite, because then it's all cash flow and we're all just trying to catch up. So you have the opposite. People love your product. That
Getting it
is
in their
really,
just getting in their hands, right? That's the
Mhm.
that's what we talk about all the time. It's like just get them to feel it's we have this like trademark fabric called
it.
Soothe Knit, and it's really like what people know us for. It's why our returning customer rate is so high.
And
But
can
you're
I
right, it's
ask
been an
you?
issue. Yeah.
So can I ask you, do you know what is the best category of product for you in terms of what to put something in somebody's hand for the first time?
Yeah, in the baby side, for sure.
Okay. Do you have any sense? So I'll tell you straight out, right? Not only in the baby side and the children's side, but actually leggings. Your
Yes.
bamboo leggings are your number one revenue driver and cohort driver. So if you get from what the data shows, we can see what we did was we plotted the lifetime value of every single product SKU that you have. And if somebody purchases for the first time and they purchase, let's say a baby's leggings, or they purchase, I know you have a pullover or other things that you sell as well. You have adult product that you sell. We looked at it and we said, which one is the first product we should put in somebody's hands? What is going to drive lifetime value and lifetime revenue across the board? And it's amazing to see now that your bamboo leggings have like a $450 lifetime revenue for people that
Yeah.
start with that product, right? So
Absolutely unreal. So interestingly, I want to step in. Sorry, I'm having a hard time playing host and hosty. So
no, go for it, go for it, go for it.
everyone's probably
Yeah,
like, Jordan, can you just shut up? Like, sorry, this Jordan. Like, but actually, interestingly, so we had looked at some cohort data like this and thought to
yeah,
ourselves, interesting. I wonder if we could even get to them sooner, right? Like if we could get to them sooner. And so we actually purchased a bow company because I thought, oh, let's get them baby bows when they're newborns, right? Right
yeah,
away, get
yeah,
them into bows. The problem is, it actually didn't translate. It did
yeah.
not translate from bow over because it wasn't the same product. It wasn't.
Yes,
It wasn't selling from bamboo leggings into bamboo shirts and bamboo dresses and all of these things, right? So
yeah.
so that was a big mistake, big learning.
It's
Maybe a
I
couple
think
hundred
these
grand learning, but
But these are good learnings. And the reality is, so now you understand that the product is not transferable from a baby on that respect, right? But the other thing that I'll share, and you called it out, you said, where is the leader for us is going to be children's products. But to go the other way, if the first product or one of the first products that a customer gets in their hands is actually an adult product, so would you're pushing matching sex right now, of let's get an adult product and the match your little one, I think is what you've got out there.
Yep. Match your mini.
Right, match your mini. The lifetime revenue of adult products, of somebody buying an adult product and then staying loyal to you, is actually low, right? So if that's the first product they buy, they are not their lifetime revenue is almost half of that of some of these leggings products,
So
right?
so I want to let you know something that we made a massive decision with this past year. I'm just
Yeah.
I'm hoping that these are some pats on the back here because we made a really difficult decision this year. We were the Kindred studio, which had all of the adult and all of that kind of stuff. And we realized, or we thought through the data that we were seeing, actually we need to focus on Little and Lively.
Yep.
That's where the margins are. That's where
Yep.
customers come in. And so you saying this actually is like, okay, good.
Validation.
Our intuition and the data that we were looking at might have been pretty similar. So that's really good
Okay.
to know.
Good. And I think that just so it's great that you've already taken actions on this side, right? And this way you're putting the right first products into people's hands, and that is the most likely to get them to buy again, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's not conclusive. I'll share with this. Will share with you. One of the things that the team called out was that the naming that including bamboo in the naming of your leggings versus without having it in there, the lifetime value was again an extra, I think, 20% higher when it had the word bamboo in there. So something to test.
Slack, slack,
Um,
slack, team, team,
e-
team. Bamboo,
exactly.
bamboo, bamboo.
Something to test. I don't know whether it's I can't say that here it is, but I know that when we look at it across the board, it may just be a specific product at your point of the patent pending or trademarked product on that side. But I think that's another insight that I would give you around your product and the product analysis, right? Of where that sits. So
That's $1 million piece of advice right there, Jordan. Thank you. I'd never even thought to think about that with the product titles of where we have it. Because I'm pretty sure we only call maybe a few pairs of leggings the
that's right.
bamboo cotton or
Yeah.
something like that. So
Yeah, exactly. I think it's bamboo cotton that you've got in there. And the bamboo cotton specific leggings have a lifetime revenue much higher than the lifetime revenue of some of them that don't.
and
Right.
all of our
So,
products use the same fabric type. So
so, so then that's a big deal, right? That's
yeah,
something that if you can A/B test just the naming convention of that, it'll be fantastic. It could be very interesting to see how that changes. Right.
yeah, yeah,
So very valuable idea on that side. And then I also took a look and saw that. So now switching gears a little bit, right,
yeah.
from this, your customers, to what we talked about, they are with you. Once they're in, they love your product. We talked about that to begin about revenue. So we think about your overall lifetime value and your general and your payback period, right? So outside of a few months in the last, and we can talk about that in a second, but outside of a few months this year, you were almost contribution margin positive. If I had an estimate, I didn't ask you what your gross margins were, but I took some guesses. You're
Yep.
basically contribution margin positive in first purchase,
Yeah.
right? And that's wonderful, right? And your average order value is about $125 when people are purchasing for their first order, right?
Yeah.
And so, but the beauty is, from what I'm seeing, is you're getting them, let's just say $100. They continue to come back. Your engagement rate of about 10% of people are coming back every single month afterwards. So just to kind of give a little bit of an explanation of engagement rate for those people that are not familiar with it, if you bring in 100 people today to buy from your business, what we think about is what percentage of those 100 people buy again 1 month later, buy again 2 months later, and 3 months later. Now, this
Yeah.
is different than repurchase rate, but engagement rate basically says 10% buy one month later. So 10 people will buy a month later, 10 people will buy 2 months later, 10 will buy 3 months later. We have 10% engagement rate equal. But what it does not say is that are those unique people, right?
Mm,
That is just that's saying 10 people could buy 1 month. Those same 10 people could buy a month later, right?
yeah.
And on where that is. But that a good engagement rate and a strong engagement rate for you. And I'm just looking at this across the board, but your engagement rate right now, you're consistently about 5 to 8%, depending on where it is for the first year. of where people are with you. And now what that means is you're essentially doubling a customer's revenue on average within a year, right?
Gotcha.
So
Yeah.
you've got $125, you've got 250 within the first 12 months.
Yeah.
And your repurchase rate within within 6 months, just in case you don't know the number, is about 25%, right?
Yeah.
So you're getting people in within 6 months to buy again on average, which is fantastic. And you're bringing that all the way up to 40% within 2 years. So showing again the loyalty on that side. So question to you, Mm, because you have a strong repurchase rate, it seems consistent. People love your product on that
Yeah.
side. And we talked about it. You're only at a 20% new customers. Have you considered spending more? Right? What has been your limitation on why you haven't spent more to fuel this business even further?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So what we found in post iOS 14.5 era
Hmm.
is that Facebook has been really good at getting in front of the customers who are already going to purchase and who have purchased before. And so what we're finding
Yep.
is that our meta new customer, our NCAC, is
Yep.
through the roof. And so it's not
That's right.
really scalable. It's like it had been around 80-ish dollars last year. And so we were trying to figure out what to do. Interestingly, actually, I heard Sean, I forget what Sean's last name is at Ridge, chat about how what they did is because they were having an issue like this is they just axed their pixel and their ad
Yep.
account and got new ones because it had so much
Yep.
learning from those old customers on it. So that's something I've
Yep.
been thinking about potentially doing. We actually did open a new ad account
Good.
recently to test that. So yeah,
Well, I will tell you, so it's possible I don't have access to your new ad account if
you
you've already
don't, you
started
don't.
spending on
Yeah,
it. All
yeah,
right. But I would tell you, I think that's a great idea. I personally, for Kitnet Box, we did that almost every year. We launched a
wow,
new ad account, a new pixel, because that's right. Facebook learns across the board who your customers are and where that is, right? And actually, one of the observations, and that's why I was asking you about your marketing, where that sits. I saw that you, over the course of over the last 6 months, that your in platform, your new customer CPAs, your NCACs, as you said, were sky high, right? And
yeah.
they went up
Which is why
to,
we shut everything off, which
yeah,
I'm sure you saw because I was like, we got to figure this out. This is a
yep.
big deal.
But what was fascinating is that your revenue as a whole did not go down and tank, right? And you pushed in and
I know.
you leaned into Google, right? You leaned
Yeah.
into Google across the board and it worked out perfectly,
Well, we're
right?
also
And
leaning into
so,
affiliates, Jordan. That's the other. We've made a
right?
massive affiliate program because we're like, who's got the customers that
Yep.
we can't seem to find right now? These new customers. So that's one of
I
the other places.
I think that's fantastic. And I think, though, what I would say to you across the board is you were seeing, for everyone to understand what Jordan is saying and how the NCAC data wasn't matching. In platform in Facebook, you were seeing a $20 CPA, right?
Yeah.
People
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
bringing people, according to Facebook, they were bringing you customers at $20. And you were like, hey, here we are. Let's do it. Let's do more. Right. But you were not seeing those new customers come in the door. And what was fascinating is the overlap between what you were seeing there versus what you were seeing in Google. Google is not what was not over accounting. And so
Not
now
at
that you've
all.
turned, not at all. And now that you've turned it off, you're getting the same demand. You're doing well on that side, which is fantastic. Right. And one of my biggest recommendations was coming into this was Performance Max is where you're putting all of your money. I would advocate for you to test even further scale through Google Shopping as well, even
Yeah.
standard shopping, not
Yeah.
only Performance Max. And then I was going to say to you, it's still worth going and trying to go back to Facebook. I love the idea of a new pixel. I love the idea of the new account, but at the same time, potentially just understanding those multiples and seeing if there are other tools that can help you identify only new customers. There are tools out there nowadays like a Little Data and Elevar and Converge that are out there that are help you can target new customer purchases also. And that
Mm,
could be an interesting way to test the waters again, get new pixels in there and new event types in there, custom conversion. So you're only tracking towards new customers because clearly you don't need it. Once somebody's in, they know what they're doing. Right.
yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
have you,
Another
so
I
yeah,
I'd love to hear another, another thought from you here. One of the other things that we were thinking about is basically we know that nobody says that they hear about us from TikTok. We don't really advertise on TikTok. We know our customers are there though, right? We
yep,
know that they're there. Everyone's
yep,
there. And so the thought was actually shut all of Meta down, or at least keep it at a low and then start to scale over on TikTok because we know that we don't
yeah.
acquire customers there. I don't know. Like, what do you
I
think about
think
that as a strategist?
I think you need to be testing other platforms. And the real question is, if you believe that Facebook is dead and that this is big with iOS 14, it knows how to bring repeat customers back in the door or take credit for all of that, then I understand your perspective of let's go and find another channel. And TikTok's a good one. I think it's just making sure you're testing reasonably. I think the other reality is YouTube is a good one as well for you to think about when you're
Yeah.
thinking about testing. The market is so large for children's clothing and leggings and the space that you're in, that I think it's really, as you said, just brand awareness, and you know your product is so good that you have no problems. People are going to come back and buy. So
Yeah.
just need to push in a little bit more. I think that's right.
Yeah, it's really interesting because at Upgrowth Commerce behind me here, we spend millions of dollars a month, right? Like our clients do very well. And it's really interesting though, because in apparel, this is something I've seen across the board. Like this is not a unique problem necessarily to industry across the board. I would say probably 80% of the apparel brand ad accounts that I look at are very similar and in a very similar situation. And it's funny because you know what my number one recommendation is? New ad account, new pixel. Have I done it? No. Guys, I don't know what it's like for me too. I'm 1 minute late to every meeting and I don't know what it is. And I will literally sit here until the next minute and can't do it. And sometimes you need people like a Jordan Salvit in your life to be like, dude, just do it,
Yep.
you know? So
Listen, I think that's right. I think there's so much that we can be doing. And I don't know that new account, new pixel is going to be the solution.
no,
Right.
no.
But the point is that we need to test it and we need to make sure and measure it accordingly. And so, as you said, your NCAC was in the high 80s at some point, early low 90s. Right. So here you are. If we want to be in a growth mindset, we need to be actively testing all the time.
Yeah,
And if that means a new ad account, great. If that means a brand new testing out on TikTok, again, I understand it. If it means something else, right? If there, as you're looking at affiliates, I think that makes sense. And figuring out how to reach your new customers, people that have never heard about your brand before is critical, right?
yeah.
And you haven't hit the ceiling, right? So it's not
No.
here it is that you've hit the ceiling. There's so much more that you could be doing. And I think, for example, I'll give you another example of something that you could be doing, even within the Google ecosystem is conquesting, specifically around your direct competitors' keywords, right? Because you know that there's a high intent around that. So I don't know, I don't know the brands of, for example, leggings, but you could look out there and say, we want to specifically target get your hands on our leggings. We're guaranteed to beat the others, right?
Yeah.
And that is, especially since you're proven in your product, that's a really great way to take something that's high intent already. People didn't know about your customers and they can come in and be really competitive.
Love that. I love that. What else do you got for me, Jordan?
I mean, I think those are the big ones. I think if I had to give you two things to focus on, it's simply things that some of them you're already working on, but like we said, trying to figure out growth of a new customer specifically on those channels like we just talked about, as well as really staying focused on getting children's products, baby in people's hands as that first product. Those two things, if you did nothing else, and those are the only two things you focused on in your business, I think you would see consistent and continuous growth, right?
Love that.
And that's it. I think there are lots of other things that we've talked about today: repurchase rates, engagement rates, other things that help us slice and dice the data. But that, if again we boil it down to just a couple of priorities, those are them.
This was really helpful, Jordan, and I hope you guys watch this one on YouTube so you can actually see my face and actually know that like this is really hitting home, guys, and something that I've been struggling with as I'm trying to parse the data and be like, what is going on here? People love this brand, and yet why is our returning customer rates so high? And sorry, why are new people not coming in? You know,
Yeah, yeah.
like where are they?
And actually, the last thing I can think about is how do you create a better referral program, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
chances are all of your customers are, have other mothers that they work with, right? And so how are you how can you create a much better referral program on that side?
So
That's
shout out. Yeah, I was gonna say shout out to my bros over at Social Snowball. We did just get launched with that.
oh,
Um,
awesome.
yeah.
So
So
another one, you've got a
yeah.
highly engaged customer base. I'm sure that's going to be a big one.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Jordan, thank you so much for taking the time to do this for me. Like really, I understand. You know, when we do stuff like this at Upgrowth Commerce for people, it does actually take us hours upon hours of our team's time. I appreciate this more than you can know, Jordan. If people want something like this and a conversation like this and a deep dive like this, are you still offering these for like a reduced cost, or what does that look like?
We're still offering them. So head on over to salvit.com and fill in your information and we're a little bit backlogged right now, but thankfully things have been good, but we're still offering it to any new customer anybody that's interested, and we'll dig in and have that conversation with you and share these kinds of insights as well. So
That's great.
salvit.com or look me up on LinkedIn, Jordan Salvit.
Yeah, awesome. So, guys, remember everything that we talked about today will be down in the show notes. I probably am not going to share all my stats with you in the show notes, but everything else that we talked about, if we referenced a tool or anything like that, it's going to be down in the show notes. So please take advantage of this. I was really looking forward to this conversation, and it did not disappoint. Jordan, I'm so glad you only gave me two big to do. Something I'm really learning as we've started to implement EOS in all of our companies is that less is more. It's always more. Getting these big things done. And this, if I can get to a 50-50, repurchase rate versus, new customer rate, oh my gosh, that changes everything in this business.
That's
So
right.
yeah. Well,
Good.
thank you
I'm happy it
again.
resonated. Of
Yeah.
course.
Oh,
Thank you for having me. Thank you
absolutely.
for
Yeah.
having me. Really appreciate it.